Hi, my name is Robert, and I'm a psychic at the original Tremont Tearoom. I've worked there since 1994 or 95, where I was mentored by Peter Blocker, Alex Palermo, Kay Dunn. I was initiated as a priest of Wicca by Lady June of the Temple of Nine Wills. When I first started at the Tremont Tearoom, I was basically just doing maintenance. I was actually working outside in the downtown crossing. I was working on a push cart. They don't have many push carts left, but I was working on a silver cart um, for this man named Roger. I believe he's actually still there. Um, But while I was there, people would come down from the store that was the Tremont Tearoom that was then on Winter Street in downtown Crossing. And they would buy like scarves or jewelry or whatnot off my thing and off my cart, and I was curious as to what they were about, who they were. I always saw the same people. They always had a certain aura about them, and apparently they were using the scarves to for table coverings and tablecloths, which was kind of cool. So I made my way up there eventually, just to kind of see what it was like and what was going on up there, and it was pretty cool. There was so many people there. It was rather eclectic. There were people that were Christians, there were people that studied that were Jewish, and there were people that were Santorian, there were people that were pagans in general, there were people that were Wiccans. I think we even had an actual Romany woman that was working there with us once. Um, it was just a very eclectic bunch. And so over time, I started kind of getting into the tarot. I mean, I had always been into philosophy and psychology and sociology. So it was just things that interested me anyways, that I found that you had to kind of know in order to learn the tarot. Um, and after a while, I kind of studied tarot in light of Carl Gustav Jung's way of doing things in philosophy. I was really interested in that, Myers-Briggs. Um, and because there was so many correlations, because actually Jung actually did a whole study on the tarot as symbols of archetypes that he was working with, that I really got into it because I'm a big fan of science. I honestly, I really am, and which makes it a hard mix. But well, you can't deny the visions and intuition and the things that you pick up off of people, anyways. Um, so yeah, I kind of followed the tarot, and I had previously been big into. I was actually brought up Christian. I was brought up. I was born Catholic, then I was adopted, and when I was adopted, we were both Protestant Church of Christ Congregationalists, and we eventually went into Baptist church, and so I got a lot of different views on Christianity, and so it's still part of my core, and to me in America and people that I read, it is pretty much their core too, Judeo-Christian religion. So I use that when I'm trying to communicate um, with people that are Christian or Jewish. Wicca was really interesting because I learned how to kind of divide things up into their elements, and you learned about the masculine and the feminine and the balancing of those. You you learn that there's really not heaven or hell. It's more like, it either helps nature or it's a detriment to nature. So you think of things more as energy, positive, negative, without putting a judgment value on it. You know, and you, and I kind of went on to that. You learn to follow the cycles of the seasons. I learned some astrology, uh, astronomy. I mean, I got into that too because one's more like a philosophical thing that deals with what goes on internally inside someone as far as the archetypes that kind of rule people, and how situations like places where people are born are very important to their psychology and how they're going to act in a situation. And there's also, I'm not going to get into all of it, but anyways, there's that, and I also, like I said, I'm a fan of hard science, so I really like learning about what makes the world tick in terms that everybody can agree on. I believe that psychics like me that are more empathic and more using intuition and stuff is kind of coming to the fore because people can understand a lot of things that used to be fiction are kind of like now coming into the fore. Like there's body language, and there's micro expressions, there's pheromones, there's so many things that go into reading someone for me. I mean, because I don't just read my intuitions, I don't just read what I empathically feel. I communicate my visions, but I also try to focus it through a lens of what's realistic in life and what's actual science, what's been proven, which makes it really difficult for me to sometimes go purely psychic on someone. But that's just the way I operate, and I've learned over time, it's been like 20-25 years, to just kind of go with what comes through, and that's a little insight into the process behind I do it. But anyways, I came into the Tearoom way back when I was like 22, 23, and I got really interested in the paganism, the Kabbalah, the nature religions, and from the nature religions, I moved on to Kabbalah. I learned a lot from through theosophical, philosophical discussions with Peter Blocker. I learned a lot of Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah, through Kay Dunn. That was kind of her background, which is nice because Kabbalah, you can actually use it without having to worry about one in particular religion. It's pretty straightforward, and someday maybe I'll make a video on that. I like to use tarot cards really to do readings because to me they're based on archetypes and energies that I can understand. A long time ago, I was when I was a kid, I used to read Carl Gustav Jung's stuff on archetypes and the functions and processes of psychology or psychoanalysis. And what fascinated me most about Jung is that he ended up becoming a Gnostic, which is kind of what I ended up becoming in the end. And a Gnostic is someone that is a knower. We want to know. We want to verify through, even if it's anecdotal, our own experiences. We want to know that we're not just chasing butterflies and dreams and stuff like that. We want to feel it. We want to experience the experience. And that's what we believe life is about, gaining knowledge and using it wisely. Not just knowledge for knowledge's sake. I mean, anybody can learn how to build a bomb, right? But the wise person knows when and when not to use it. That's kind of the definition, or the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And we just like to know that we're not being fools for following and believing what we believe. And that's pretty much why I chose to be a Gnostic. I believe that there's a God. I don't disbelieve. I just don't believe it's what everybody has anamorphosized or made God out to be. God to me is much more like a Taoist energy of evolution and force. And if we're ever gonna find God, it's gonna be somewhere on the other side of the Big Bang, which means and then once we get there, he's even gonna recede further. What I believe that we should all follow is just basically the laws of nature that are within us. I believe that when we became conscious and got technology, we started to become more devious, and we started to fall from our natural state, our Garden of Eden state, where we were one with nature and we could communicate without talking. We could communicate on an emotional, on a mental level with nature and with other animals and species. I mean, and that you'll find in the Bible. I mean, but then we decided that we were smart. We learned good and evil. We started to separate things into this is good for me and this is bad for me, based on the fact that I don't like it, you know, and not based on reality and natural evolution. And that's kind of the basis of my biblical or Kabbalistic, Gnostic beliefs there. I find people to be really predictable based on a couple things. Okay, one would be everybody seems to like to go to the same place to eat. Everybody likes to go to or take the same route to work or to the movies or whatever. They don't really deviate because we got this thing once we're in a groove, we stay there. And then we get so used to it as a society that we see someone taking, you know, the road less traveled, and we think they're strange or they're weird or whatnot. But honestly, to me, I think those are the people, the strange, the weird ones, the ones taking the road less traveled. Those are the ones that are masters of their own destiny. Everybody else is stuck in a rut, following a herd or whatnot. Okay, so the people that do all the same things all the time are easy to predict because you just know they're always going to turn left instead of going right, where they might find the right person, the right job, the right house, the right career. I mean, they might do that if they were used to getting out of their shell, but people aren't. People are used to taking the same courses to everything, you know. It's actually refreshing and a little harder to read people that are taking the road less traveled. It's refreshing because it's not like, oh no, that's not going to happen. You can't tell people that are taking the road less traveled, because there's a good chance they will. They will overcome obstacles that most of their friends or they previously haven't been able to do. You know, and it's really exciting to see someone do that. You know, and I love to encourage it. Because if you're stuck and you keep on doing the same things, you're never going to get unstuck, because you're going to expect the same results from the same attitudes, the same decision-making process, always saying yes to people that take advantage of you and no to people that want to help you. And that it's frustrating, you know, but there are people like that. And you know, yeah, take the road less traveled. You might surprise yourself.